Hey guys, I'm Shawn the founder and CEO of Custom Offsets, Offsets Garage, Team Stance, and some other stuff. And this is my episode of The Builder.
I'm in it just to rewrite history, cause I'm in the mood to label us the leaders of the new school. This ain't for the radio, can't find this on YouTube. This the type of killing that these critics ain't used to. Victorious. In this day and age, I got time for innovation, time to be creative.
My passion began when my grandpa sold me his truck. It was a 1979 Toyota pickup truck. It was missing half of the box on the back. It had rusted and fallen off. Sold it to me for $250, and it was the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen in my life. But to me, it was the most beautiful thing ever. I sat and waxed that thing until the rest of the rust would fall off of it. I basically took the grill off of it so that it would look custom, which would just look like it was missing a grill, but I didn't know that. I took out the headliner because I thought that would be custom. That made the stereo just ping every time the bass would hit, which were house speaker boxes that I had stuffed behind the seat. But the whole point was it was mine and it looked like no other truck out there. And that, I would say that was the beginning of my addiction, because from there on, that's exactly what I did with every vehicle. It didn't matter if it looked better as long as it looked different. I actually had somebody's name carved in my white Ford Escort. Her name was Betty. And I liked that because it was custom, because I didn't know who Betty was. And since somebody had keyed their name into the car, I really liked that. So I keyed other names into that car. And that was the keyed name car for the 3 weeks that I owned that. But once bought a car for $75 from a friend in college. And it was really in rough shape, but it was missing the antenna. So I took a metal clothes hanger and I folded it into a hand that did that. And I made that my antenna. And then my friend took blue paint and wrote my name on the hood. So it said Shawn's car, and that one made that one my car. That one lasted about probably 6 or 8 weeks, I think. But these are my 50, 51, and 52 are the names of these vehicles. I've had 52 vehicles in my life. I believe the first 20 didn't add up in total to about $10,000. So I've had a lot of vehicles. Some of them, a couple $100, only lasted a couple of weeks. But I always made them my own the day that I got them. So I've been absolutely obsessed with never driving a vehicle that looks like somebody else's. After the Toyota, the first one that I really made mine was I bought a Chevy S10 lowrider. It was an '86, and it had the red interior, black exterior, and it had some big old pinstripes and stuff on it. So I right away started taking off the pinstripes that I didn't like, kept just the color that I did like. Went and got a tonneau cover for it. It had some slotted Camaro wheels on it, so that already looked good. But I put some new tires on it. And then I went and got some old Chevy bow ties off of some junk vehicles, and I painted the insides of those purple and mounted those up on the bottom of the air dam on the front of the truck. And I think I did I know I added a no fear sticker to the front windshield because that was super awesome back then, and then put a full stereo in it. I always put stereos in my trucks. And I would say that was the first one that I really turned into my first, proud to drive it truck. I only had that for probably one summer, and then I went on to the next one and the next one. But the one after that was another Chevy S10, that was a '91. That was the first one that I went and bought, my first set of brand new custom wheels. I bought some American Racing Hammers, which was the deepest dish wheel at that time, and it was about an 8-inch wide, probably a 0 offset, but they somehow created a dish on it. So that was the first one that I actually put my own wheels, and then I went and did the windows, got the windows, I tinted the windows with some Shopko tint, because Shopko was sweet back then. And I would say that was the first one that I made totally mine. I did some other stuff too, but that was like 20 years ago, so I can't remember all the details. Yeah, it's not really my most recent, but I would say my recent most proud vehicle was the CEO Avalanche. That truck I got from my buddy. He owned it since it was brand new. It was about 11 years old, had 150,000 miles on it. I got it for $5,000. I know that Avalanches are one of the ugliest vehicles made. I know that they're one of the most picked on vehicles made. I think a Pontiac Aztec would have been the only thing I could have challenged that vehicle with for the most ridiculous looking vehicle ever created, especially by GM. So I knew I had my work cut out for me, so I did a ton of research, and I took this stock truck, put it in the garage, and stared at it for like 2 months. And I basically pushed every single limit. So I went with a 6-inch lift. I went with 12 wides, which nobody was running 12 wides anywhere in this town. I had never seen a truck with 12 wides in person. And then I did 33s, which I said would never fit. And I just cut big chunks out of the bumper to make it fit. I went in, SEMA beavered with a chisel and a Dremel and made room for the tires on the back. It was a nightmare, but it was mine and I got it to fit and I could drive it. And then I came up with this crazy idea to first I decided to drill bolt holes into the truck. I had seen on an episode of those bike builder guys, what are the father, son, Orange County Choppers. He had built, the Tuttle kid had built a Camaro that had sheets of metal on it with rivets. And I really liked that really beefy look, and I wanted to turn that plastic Avalanche into something more beefy. So I literally took a speed bit, put some tape on it, and hoped that I wouldn't get carried away, and started speed bit drilling 3/4-inch holes all over my truck and put these giant bolts all around, threaded right into the truck. Then I plastied up the entire thing, custom painted all the bolts, ripped the headliner out of the truck, put a custom suede headliner on it with embossed raised emblems for custom offsets on there, which didn't work at all because the liner was too thick and the emblems were too detailed, but I knew they were there, so that made me feel nice. And that had black suede headliner, and then I went and put rough, tough seat covers, black and white gator skin all throughout the inside of it. I did all custom lighting, light bars, underglow. I actually cut my own Lamborghini exhaust. I mocked up out of cardboard what the Aventador exhaust looks like. Went to a metal fab guy, had him actually weld up, bend, and fab me a custom Lamborghini exhaust, and I called it the Avalambo exhaust. And then I went to the muffler shop and had them put a straight pipe that came through where the spare tire is and put the Lambo exhaust coming out where the license plate was supposed to be. And I say that one's my favorite because I actually did most of the work myself. I definitely came up with the entire vision myself. It had never been done before. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. I was gonna get a t-shirt made that said, "I hate Avalanches, but God, do I love that one," because everywhere I went, I heard that. I won my first trophy in my entire life with that truck. I got best of show at a classic car show, which I knew it hurt them to vote for my truck because they all like classic cars and they hate trucks, but they couldn't get over how unique that flat black truck with all the bolts and the whole interior done and just all the work that they could tell that I'd put into it. So that one, I think that'll, end as my favorite build that I've ever done because I put my hands all over it and I was the one that could have ruined that truck by drilling those giant bolt holes. And it never mattered what anybody said about it because it was mine and I made it that way. And I never cared what somebody's opinion was. I just smiled and said, yeah, it's pretty sweet, isn't it? Bedazzled SUV with a birth defect was my favorite comment of all time. And I said, yeah, I love it too, was my only response back to him. So that's the one that I love. And I think, then I got super busy and now I basically don't have time to build my own stuff. So what's happened is I've had to transition into, now I just come up with the vision and then I've got a team that helps me actually get the vehicle built. So my big pushback has been, I keep hearing these people say, bought, not built. You're not a builder because you just bolted stuff on. You're not a builder because of this. You're not a builder because of that. And, I say kiss my ass. I am a builder. I have built in the past. I could build if I want to. don't judge my level of my build. I love the kids with the cans of Plasti Dip that are making their cars their own, that are 16 years old. That kid's more of a builder than half these guys that are talking crap and, you know, picking on everybody else, because they actually get it. And the guys that go out and just spend money or have all the tools and all the expertise and all the talent, but they can't respect the high school builder, you know, I think they're the ones that are missing out. I'm more proud of the kid that made his Volkswagen Jetta his own when he removed the hood and can't find it anymore and drives around like that. So that's my thing. I don't know what my point was, but at the end of the day, to me, you know, having a vision for these vehicles and getting them to come to life is just as much building as a guy that knows how to custom fab a complete lift kit. My next build that I had a vision for, but I knew I was gonna have a team build it with us, was CO2. Custom offsets was starting to really ramp up. We were starting to do a lot of shows and a lot of meets, and the Avalanche was starting to really drag. We got stranded in Kentucky, 500 miles from home, because the transmission went out. So I knew it was time for an upgrade, and I knew that I wanted a brand new truck, but I also, the big craze was you have to have a diesel. Everybody has to have a diesel, diesel, blowing smoke, whatever. I intentionally wouldn't buy a diesel because of that. You know, I've never been one to follow the fads, follow the trends, just do it because everybody else is doing it. So what my goal was with CO2 was to buy a Gasser 2500, because I did need something that could tow, to make it, you know, very unique and one of a kind and really stand out and make people stop and go, wow, is that ever a clean build? Clean was definitely the word. I had come up with the concept of a complete whiteout. I had seen a lot of murdered black trucks. I wanted to do a murdered white truck where absolutely everything was white. And the other thing I wanted to accomplish was the whole vehicle, including the vehicle, all of the parts, and the labor, if we were to pay for it, we actually priced it out, would be under $75,000. Because we were seeing all these $100,000, $125,000, $150,000 SEMA builds, but we wanted to say, can you take a rough country? Can you take, you know, a medium grade light bar company? Can you take and have this stuff pulled off and painted, you know, by the local painter guy that does it in his garage, and literally build a complete truck for about, you know, $25,000 in add-ons and have it look just as good as some of those top builds and get some attention. And that was what we went for with CO2, and that's why we went with the 5-inch rough country. We went with the off-road LED bars for the light bars. We were intentionally choosing things that we knew other people could afford and build an affordable truck that still had that look. So we went with 12 wides and then added 2-inch spacers versus 14 wides, because the tires would be less expensive. And we ran the Arturo tires because they were a price point tire as far as the MTs go. So that was the concept behind CO2, and you know, we definitely pulled it off. It turned out being a truck we're super proud of. It ended up in Truckin' Magazine as one of the readers' rides, and you know, it was the perfect truck to create what we were trying to create, which is, you know, if you put enough passion into something and have a clean vision, you can really create something without spending the $50,000, $70,000 that these guys are spending. I honestly don't know why we redid CO2. I think, so here's what, I do know why. I'm just gonna say it. I was trying to come up with a better way to say why we did it, but I'll just tell you the truth instead. So I used to be able to wear like the shoes from Walmart, and I was cool with that. I used to wear, all my clothes were from Kohl's, and I was cool with that. Ever since I got into the custom world, I'm gaining more and more appreciation for clothing, for shoes, for everything. And then you kind of start getting into the Jordans, and you just like the style of that and the feel of it. And I think what happens is you start to get this brand thing where you just, you understand the brand, you start to meet people because of your shoes, because you find out that they collect Jordans, or that they also, you know, really like fashion clothes and stuff like that. I think that brands and cultures around a brand are becoming more and more prevalent in the truck world and in the car world too. Or they've always been there and I just found out about them. But when you put a BDS lift on, the other BDS guys come and talk to you. When you run Hostile wheels, the other Hostile guys come and talk to you. So what I'm learning is that when you run a brand, you kind of get into this culture then. So CO2, we had a mission, we set out, we did it. Now for this year, we wanted to take it to that next level I'm not ever gonna be a SEMA builder. I don't wanna be a SEMA builder. I have a ton of respect for the guys that are SEMA builders. I love talking to them. I love hearing their stories. I love seeing their passion. That's not my thing. That's not one of my dreams. It does nothing for me. But I did start to like the idea of, running a BDS brand lift kit. So I wanted to go up to 6.5 inches, do the Fox Shock upgrade, and get that, brand behind this build. Same thing with the Hostile wheels. I'm a huge fan of Hostile. I've got Hostiles on a whole bunch of my stuff. They make a phenomenal wheel. So right when they came out, I talked to Mike, and I were talking back and forth from Hostile, and he was able to get me the 24x14 strikers. And I was just pumped to be able to become a part of that brand, a part of that culture of the guys running Hostile. And then the Nitto tires are basically the only one that make that size. And I wanted to stay with a big wide footprint. So I think we redid CO2 probably because I'm starting to get more into that culture and that brand rally. And I don't know if it's a phase or if that's something that's gonna stick with me, but that's the truth. Is I just wanted the Michael Jordan or the Air Jordans of truck parts. One of the things that happened because we took some shortcuts and saved a lot of money on that budget build is we did things like we painted over the top of chrome, which is a big no-no, because what'll happen is you get a rock chip and it'll actually just start to blow away. So we went through and touched up the bumper on CO2, and then we clear bra'd the entire thing. Our idea is that would basically hold it together. The next step would be we're gonna have to just get rid of it and get a paintable bumper. So for now, we did a clear bra'd to just clean that up and get rid of all those nicks. We want CO2 because it's our flagship truck to be super clean and to just have that super clean look to it. And then we also wanted to kind of bump it up in the luxury level because when I bought CO2, we were a brand new company and doing this budget build, I didn't get the leather, I didn't get the sunroof, I didn't get all of these features that as I'm driving it, it's like, man, I just miss having that stuff. I had that stuff on previous vehicles. So this year we took it in and had the cat skin leather installed. We had a big hole cut in the roof and put a moonroof into it. And then for utility, we do a lot of shows and we like to carry all of our killer wax, all of our cleaning supplies with us. So we had the swing out case and the bed rug in there, and I've been looking for 8 months for a cover, and now we finally added a cover, the Lomax, to the back of it, and then that will get completely vinyl wrapped white to continue the whiteout theme. So I would say that stuff we were just refining it and kind of finishing the build that we had started. Then we got to the point where we had actually picked up the CO Lambo. And with that, it's an expensive car, it's an exotic car. They really decrease in value when you over customize them. They really decrease in value when you start doing things that can't be undone. So our whole intention with that is how can we make it look like no other Lambo, but let's make it where it's all reversible.